Hey, Monica. Yay. Okay, awesome. Hey, Bob. Thanks for tuning in. Hi,
Hi,
Monica.
how are
Yay. Good. How are you?
you? Doing well, doing well. It's a rainy day in the Pacific Northwest.
It's been rainy all day here too, but it's like winter rain, so I'm like, it's so cold.
So cold, same here.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I,
So yeah, I apologize if the connection is like really poor because it's still raining right now. So and we're like in the middle of nowhere. So
oh, it's all good. I can hear you, I can see you.
yay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing this. And everyone, thanks for joining or catching the replay. I'm super excited about this. And I've definitely, a huge fan of Monica's work. So I'm like really, really excited about having her on today. So I'm live here in the UK and Monica is live in the Pacific Northwest. Thanks again for joining me for another High Achieving Hustlers Q&A. However, I've decided that I'm changing the name. So after a
Cool.
lot of work, yeah, and after a lot of work and doing some of your work too, actually, I've just decided like, okay, I got to figure out like my whole branding and all my foundation, trying to figure that out. So I want to call these the boss interviews because I feel like
Ooh,
I've been featuring like some pretty awesome people, and I'm super excited to have you on.
I love
Um, Yay, awesome. So I'd first like to start out by introducing Monica. Oh my gosh, sorry, my screen just like froze. Let me find your bio. This is real and raw as it gets. Oh my gosh. Anyways, while I'm like re-pulling this up, how's everything else on your end?
we're doing all right. Air is clear here in the
Oh,
Portland
good.
area, so that's really nice. I love winter and fall, so I'm excited about this time of year. So
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it's like I love winter and fall just like for the layers, but like some of the cold, I'm just like, ugh. Oh, good. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening right now. I'm so sorry. Like,
it's okay. Take your time.
oh, yeah, I'm still working on like my perfectionism and getting over that too. So like,
The internet is where all things go wrong all the time.
definitely. Well, and then my computer's been freezing too, so I'm just like, I don't know what's going on here. But anyways, finally got it. Okay, so Monica is a cautiously optimistic introverted copywriter with a mean coffee habit and a serious nerd streak, living in the Pacific Northwest. She revels at the intersection between cause and strategy, hoping to make a world a better place one word at a time. Monica has spent the last 13 years navigating the inherently extroverted profession of marketing, helping over 200 clients craft their message and increase their sales or donations from double to over 10 times. Her true joy lies at the moment she gets, so her true joy lies at the moment she gets to craft a message that captures the essence of why a movement, organization, or brand was created. Now she helps introverted business owners make a full-time income with their services without the pressure of acting extroverted through inclusive marketing and messaging that feels like themselves. So thank you so much, Monica, for being here today.
For sure. So happy to be here. Thanks for introducing me.
Awesome. So first of all, can you tell us a little bit briefly about your journey and how you got started?
Yes. So yeah, my journey in like business ownership has been a long one. I feel like I've had the kind of entrepreneurial bug, as they say, for a long time, and paired with that, I went to school for marketing and graduated into the 2008 recession. So I graduated into a kind of wild time in the world, and there wasn't a lot of like job stability, especially for marketers, which is kind of the first like budget that gets cut, it seems like. So yeah, so I graduated. I was like, I remember sitting in a consumer behavior class and learning about marketing and thinking, oh my God, this is like really dangerous, but also really fascinating. And in that moment, I thought, I'm going to use this for good. And at that moment, what that meant is that I was going to go work for nonprofits. So, which was great. And I spent a decade and still work with nonprofit clients. But I realized like, I still loved marketing, and it didn't like really matter that I was doing it for a cause. I just loved doing it and loved helping people who had like a mission and something that they wanted to get accomplished in the world. So my entrepreneurial spirit came out because I was living in Los Angeles. I moved to Los Angeles right after college, and nonprofits don't pay that much. So, so I creative and use my like marketing skills to get freelance projects and just supplement my income. So being an entrepreneur kind of started that way. And I just, just kind of got in with, and went to things and really pushed myself to be able to make connections with people and getting like ongoing marketing and copywriting work outside of my full-time jobs. So I was still in denial about loving marketing and started a product-based business called Bare Bones Body Care. And I loved it. But then I realized like I loved mostly building the brand and writing the messaging for it. And like when it came to the products, and really, I'm like really passionate about non-toxic living and non-toxic products. But I was like, I really just liked building this brand more than I liked having it. So I decided that that's what I want to do. And when I was making this this brand, Unsocially Inclined, in true marketing fashion, I thought, what is my unique lens? What is my differentiator that I can bring to the space? Because there's so many people doing what I do, and for everyone, there's going to be so many people doing what you do. So you are that differentiator, but why am I the differentiator for people? And for me, it's that I'm an introvert. I've been in an extroverted profession and extroverted spaces my whole life. I'm an athlete. I've always been unexpected for people. I've always surprised them. And I think like being underestimated as an introvert is something we all experience. And some messaging we've always been told is that if we're not certain ways, mainly extroverted, that we're not going to be successful, because that's how America mostly, I think, but maybe measures a successful, assertive leader. So I was really passionate about that, because my dreams and the way that I live my life had been kind of crushed a few times because of who I am and how I choose to move throughout the world. So that's what really like motivated me to start this and help introverts create businesses through marketing that feels like them and copywriting that feels like them, and in ways that feel at home in their business.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Gosh, it's crazy because I feel like, when I did the product business too, and it's a totally different game when you also have to think about like sourcing and the fulfillment and the shipping and delivery and all those extra things too. But that's so cool.
Props to anyone in business, because that is hard.
Oh yeah, definitely. I like being a part of like my boyfriend's business because like, but he's definitely like, leading the charge on that one. I can just be in the background and support. Most definitely. Okay, so for a lot of new business owners out and sales professionals out there, what is copywriting? So for somebody that's like totally brand new, has no idea what this is, because I feel like even I misunderstood what copywriting was in the beginning too.
It's funny. My cousin messaged me the other day and she was like, you do copywriting. Like you can like copyright my like intellectual property. I was like, oh no. Yeah, it happens a lot. It happens a lot. So copywriting with a W in the middle, not an R. And so copywriting is essentially like the art of selling people on an idea, a brand, an technology, or more specifically, your product or service.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, it's like that's so simple, like the way you put it.
Yeah.
So it's definitely there too. And I know there's like a lag, so I'm just like, I apologize.
Oh,
This connection.
yeah, it's to tell people to take action, essentially. Yeah.
That's awesome. And I definitely think it's like a really good skill to have. Because I feel like even sometimes like right now, even like with my own stuff, like I knew that I was like writing stuff out, but I was kind of just like writing it for content and just kind of throwing it out there. What would you say is the biggest difference between just writing content?
Right.
Because to be honest, I didn't even know copywriting was a thing.
Totally. What did people say forever? Content is king, and now they're switching it to content is queen. And
yeah.
Like, content has been pushed on us very hard. And I'm not saying that content isn't valuable. It definitely is, but it's valuable for a different reason than copywriting is valuable. So the kind of like simplest way to say the difference between content writing and copywriting lies in the purpose of it. Mm-hmm. So essentially the purpose of copywriting is to sell someone on what you're offering, like that's the basis of it. And it could be that selling, it could be you're compelling people to take action in a way to like get on your email list, or take advocacy action, like sign a petition or do something like that. That could be seen as copywriting, right? But content is telling them to buy your thing, but also in like the subtle way of delivering it through valuable content. And really you're just nurturing them between those moments when you're copywriting and actually making the hard ask or the soft pitch. So is about selling and making that ask, and content writing is the nurturing you do in between and really like showing them, the value you can bring to the table for the problem they're looking to get solved, and also why you and why your service or product.
That's a great way to put it, because I never thought about it that way as far as like the nurturing piece. And going back to what you said too, it's like, selling doesn't have to be like selling, right? Because I work with like, some artists as well, where they're like, I don't have really a product or service, but you still technically have your personal brand that you're selling, right? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. Is that personal brand essentially like getting partnerships and things like that? Right.
The influencer thing, yeah.
I'm I'm big on just like clearly selling. I'm an advocate of making it. So I think even if you're proposing oh no, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, cool. So I think even proposing you as a lot of us, I took a class in college, which I feel like everyone should take, but I think just the business school took it, where it was like, basically the art of selling yourself, and not selling yourself out, but essentially like, it was essentially a personal branding class in like getting a job. They weren't necessarily like entrepreneurship, but the same kind of things apply, right? So it's like, if you're selling yourself as having like, you're an artist and you want to have, a show at a gallery, or you want to, have a mural, or you want like, you could wait for people to ask you. You could.
How likely is that to come, right?
Yeah, you're going to be waiting a lot longer, especially if you're like really like breaking through new in the industry. So, if you're selling yourself as a personal brand, it's really like being assertive and making the ask of like, hey, I have this value I can add to your brand because these are my values. These are the values of my audience and the people, that follow me and that look to me as someone who has information that they're looking for. And this is what I think us working together in this way will be a win-win for. Yeah.
That's awesome. It goes back to that what's in it for me, what's in it for them too, right? You're doing a lot of that and really thinking about, like really putting yourself in their shoes. Do you think copywriting shows up in only writing, or does it show up in like other platforms as well? Like even like spoken video and all that stuff too?
Yeah, copywriting is definitely across mediums. I would say like visually is the most, just writing is what we see it mostly like in ads. If you're thinking about ads, those are quick like versions of copywriting, right? Where they're selling you in like not even a sentence. But also copywriting, like someone who wrote that commercial, who wrote that, that kind of like trailer video for their service, or the trailer video for their podcast, is copywriting to convince you to actually like, listen to that podcast or buy that service or watch that movie or whatever. It's like those are snippets that are not necessarily you reading them, but they were written in order for someone to take action.
That's awesome. I wish I had learned more about this like this year, because like I feel like it would have just helped me if I knew the distinction like a lot earlier on in my journey. Okay,
that's good to know.
Yeah, no, definitely. Okay, so there is a saying around copywriting: features tell, benefits sell. Do you agree with this? Why or why not?
I do agree with that. I think features are always important, but because at the end of the day, you want to show like how the process is going to be for people, what they're actually going to get to justify the pump, like how pumped and stoked they are to actually buy your offer. They're like, cool, now how do I justify this with logic? So features sell, benefits sell, yes. Because, and I think people are all different. There's people that have different styles of how they buy, for sure. I don't want to blanket everyone into how they because some people are like, let me see what I get and if this is worth my money. But a lot of the time they need to know if you know their challenges and frustrations, and you know actually where they want to go with their business or with their life or wherever you're helping them, before they're going to go down to those features and see if it actually matches up with the benefits you're offering. So benefits, outcomes from your service, focus on those first before you head into the features. I see that, I don't want to say it's a mistake, but I see the reverse a lot, where people will go right into what they get in the program before even saying the outcomes that will happen from those features. So I think hitting those benefits first will get them really interested in what they actually get in the program. And that's what you want a sales page or an email or anything you're copywriting to do, is basically like they need to read the next line because they need to know what they get to actually get those benefits.
Yeah, that's so clever. Hey, Cassandra. Hey, Molly. Hey, Angel. Sorry, get distracted. No, that's awesome, because I always think about, like, we can get so excited about like all the bells and whistles and everything that we have to offer, but really we should be focused on the outcomes and the benefits and really bringing it back to the client, like putting yourself in their shoes, right?
Yeah. Other part of that too is not overvaluing your offer. Yeah, right. I mean, I feel like you just resonated that with your reaction.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, like we want to keep adding things to that features list because we think that means more value. And sometimes I see when that happens, people get confused on what this actually is, because you're just kind of offering too much, and they actually don't need that much to get that benefit or outcome that you're looking for. So I think about what is necessary for them to get that benefit or outcome, and maybe add a few bonuses, but don't overload your program with too many things that's going to get them overwhelmed to even start.
Yeah, that's so true. And it ends up having the reverse effect, right? And making like your services like seem undervalued. Yeah. No, exactly. Totally. Okay, so what is your stance on informal versus academic writing? So for copywriting, I know this is tough, and I know like a lot of like my audience, I've got a lot of like young professionals and people from the legal and the finance world. So we're all about like the academic writing, and it has to be perfect, right?
Right. I love this question, and I love this in general as entrepreneurs, because I've never worked at a place where I have had to wear business attire, casual attire. I've always been able to wear like jeans and Vans and like a t-shirt to my job. So it's something that I just do in entrepreneurship automatically, because I'm not even thinking about it. I'm like, this is me. This is who I am in my jobs. Like, I don't need that, right? But then I'll have clients who are like, I'm just really scared to look unprofessional. And I'm like, oh, yeah. Like, that's a thing. If you in a world where there's like a huge amount of pressure and like value that's put on looking and sounding professional, which I think is a whole other problem we could go into, and we don't have time.
Oh, totally. Yeah, so, my boyfriend finished law school, so sometimes when he drops some words where I'm just like, that's like a $5 word. I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, what that means.
Big old legal vocabulary.
Is like $5 words in your online copy to sell your stuff. Avoid like anything you hate doing, the dentist, the DMV, whatever it is for you. Because people, I mean, I'm sure you've read something before where you're like, wow, I feel like I'm maybe not smart enough to be in this program, or like this, I feel like this person's talking down to me in a way, and this isn't really real. Like, I don't necessarily like when people say like dumb down your copy or write like you're writing to a 5-year-old. I don't like, I don't think it's for people, but I think when you're thinking about writing and you're thinking about using a bigger word versus a more simple word that still conveys the same point, go with the shorter word. Like, a great example is buy versus purchase. Say buy. Like, it's just, it's shorter, it's concise, it's clear. And it's a word that we use in everyday conversation, which I think brings back to the informal, more professional or academic writing. So I'm a huge advocate for the informal. And copywriting now, if you're selling for your own online programs, especially online, unless your audience is business professionals.
Yep. The only caveat.
So it's like, who are you speaking to? For me, people want to be themselves. So when they see me writing and speaking like myself and not really worried about it, it empowers them to know that they can do that in their own business as the introvert that they are. So remember who you're speaking to, who your audience is, and take note, maybe even ask them. That's my biggest tip of all for copywriting. Audience or your clients, past clients, future clients, ideal clients. Ask them like what how they like to read copy, if they care about academic writing, or if they want to look like they want to feel like they're in a conversation. But if I was to default to one, I would say write like you're talking to a friend, like you're having a conversation with someone, because in general, people are looking to hire humans because they want that feeling.
No, absolutely.
They don't want to hire a teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Or a
So
boss.
true. Mhm.
Yeah.
No, that's great advice. And like what's helped me kind of get over that like perfectionism piece too is like I'll just like open up like a text message on my computer and then like just start typing out like as if it was a text. And then it comes out more naturally like I'm actually talking versus like, oh, I have to make it perfect, right?
Recording is
Awesome.
like a tip, and that's one I give people when they're struggling with like writing less academic,
Mhm.
less like a robot, is just record yourself speaking or open
Yeah.
your Gmail app. You have a Gmail app and dictate it into an email, and it'll transcribe it and you can email it yourself, and then you have it all written out. So
Oh, that's
that's
awesome. That's a great tip. I should probably do that too.
super helpful.
Okay, couple more questions. So what are your top three tips for writing amazing copy that sells? If you had to like break down like all of like, you know, your gold nuggets into just three things, what would that be?
Yes. Oh, I have so many of these. Okay, I'm going to choose the top three that'll help the most. Choose who you're writing to. This is
Yeah.
always my big, because this is what I see and what I experience the most with clients. You know, a lot of people have said this, and like this is like I want to say anything I say that a lot of people say, no shame, because we all start out in the same spot, right? We're not super clear usually.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten super specific with our target market. But if marketing to everyone is marketing to no one is what I tell people, because if you can't if they don't see you commit to them in your copy, then how do you expect them to commit to you with their heart? So
Exactly.
yeah, so vague copy that doesn't speak to anyone in particular, the my offer is for everyone copy, is something that is going to hurt your sales probably the most, because you're not actually committed to your target market. So start
Mm-hmm.
super, I think this is a really intimidating thing for people when everyone's like, just choose your, niche down, choose your target market. Like these are all jargon words that don't mean a lot to people. And so when I go online and I look at, like a while ago, I went online and I looked at all the definitions of like a buyer persona or an ICA or all the things, ideal client avatar, all the things that we call this. And basically there were just so many different versions of what it is. Some are like, this is based on a real person. Some are like, this isn't, this is based on the person you create. It can be whatever makes the most sense for you. If you just started your business and you don't have any clients, maybe this person is someone in your life that you know would be ideal for your offer,
Yeah.
and you on like a 30-minute call with them and ask them some questions and just let them talk about the experience they're having. If you've had some clients, past clients is like talk
Yes.
to them and create a persona that's based on that person, like, and not demographically. Yes, or like demographics are for everything, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
For copy, psychographics, actual
Yeah.
experiences, universal experiences, feelings, uh, challenges, frustrations, desires. These are the things you want to know to write great copy. And you're not going to know that if you haven't actually spoken to someone who is
That's
that
so
person.
true.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
start who you're writing to by actually talking to someone that you are writing to.
Mm-hmm.
And this goes straight into my next point. After you do that, you really shouldn't be writing copy exclusively out of your uh,
Mm,
your copy
interesting.
should come from that person's mouth.
Yeah.
Um, what they've said to you is essentially copywriting gold, and it's not because you. And some people use it in a way where they're exploiting this, like, these pain points they're having. But if you just see them and hear them and recognize their experience and mirror that back in a way that is compassionate, they will
Yeah.
feel seen and heard, and will be like, okay, this person, they know what's going on and they know where I want to go. So A to B is really important. You can't have the
Yeah.
challenges without actually knowing where they want to go to, because then they're
Yeah.
like, cool, I know why everything's right now, but they don't actually aren't telling me where they're going. Why benefits, features tell and benefits sell, right?
Mhm.
Um, so that's my second tip. Don't write all your copy from your own head. Actually use the input that you're getting from people who are your ideal clients, have been your clients. And my third tip is, like, I feel like I don't have to say this, but also I always have to say this. It, actually make the ask. Make the ask for
Yeah.
the
Just do it. No, I
just,
think it needs to be said. Like,
yeah. Because even when, even with the, like, challenges, frustrations, like aspirations, showing them why your program is different, explaining, why you are not necessarily qualified, but why you help them, you know? People will actually still skip directly making the ask. And that's something in your copy that is the biggest tip I could have for you always, because people aren't going to buy unless you ask them. If you think about how many times you've like sat back and waited for the next email from someone to actually buy the program or the product, like
Yes.
active and
That is
people
so true.
ask for help super assertively, like we wish they would. And those clients are awesome that DM you and are like, I want to work with you. How much, like, what's your rate? What are your services? To send it all to me. And we wish everyone would.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So make the ask as often as you can, because one, it gets your audience used to you making the ask and they're not so caught off guard when you do it like in a really like, you know, what's that, like when the camera takes a bunch of pictures at one time.
Oh yeah.
In that kind of way, or they're not.
Perfect example.
Why all of a sudden asking for something? So they get used to it. And in that way, if you're not necessarily selling someone, ask people to join your email list, ask people to comment on your post, ask people to do things so they get used to you asking them to do the things. And then when you ask them to check out your new offer, it won't be so weird. So yeah, so people, I see a lot of people never actually making the ask once they've set up to make the ask. And I think that is something that hurts sales the most.
Yeah. It's like you put on all this work, right? And I think there's something to be said about just asking for it. No, that's awesome.
And people want to be, that's why they're there. They're following you because you're a business and know that you're going to ask now and then. You're not forcing anyone to buy. You're just asking.
Oh yeah, no, totally. Well, I mean, that's like, you know, like a little story here, right? Because I was totally following you before I found out you were in Elaine's circle, and I was like, oh my God, like I still can't get over that, right? I still get like, to be honest, like I got pretty intimidated in the beginning because I was like already following your content and stuff, and then when I got to know you, and I'm like, oh, I shouldn't be so intimidated, right? But did anyways, like a little fan moment, but totally. No, this is awesome. So last question, I always love to end these Q&As with action steps. What is the one action step you would recommend for these young professionals and entrepreneurs to do today as it relates to improving their copywriting?
Okay, I have two. Right down to one. So my first one I already gave. If you haven't talked to someone who you think is your ideal client in your life that could fit that description, or in like a part of their life that it makes sense that they would need your program or offer, and just gotten some insight from them, or past clients, set up those conversations and do that, because they're so essential. They will bring so much clarity. Speaking of clarity, when you're writing, or if you've already written copy on like a sales page or a work with me page, services page, or wherever you write it and offering your offer, look at that page and see if you're being more clever than you are being clear and concise.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
We love being clever and it's super fun, but they're over clever every time, because you don't want people to be confused about what you're talking about. So check for those moments where you're being a little too clever and it might be confusing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. No, definitely. I'm thinking back now. It's like, do we have to maybe we should do an audit too.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, very good. Well, thank you so much for being on here today and just dropping so much gold and advice. And, I'm just, again, I'm just so grateful and really excited that I had this opportunity to get to interview you too. So for more people with questions on, copywriting or, how to work with you, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah. And thanks so much for having me. This is so fun talking about copywriting. But yeah, if you want to get, I'm at Unsocially Inclined on Instagram. Instagram's where I basically hang out. So feel free to DM me, comment on any of my posts, and I'll definitely get back to you.
Yay. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And for everyone tuning in, or if you're catching the replay, please let me know your thoughts and feedback as always, or if you'd like me to have Monica on again sometime. Any final thoughts from you, Monica?
No, this is awesome. Just, keep writing, because the more you write, the better you get at it. I mean, I've written things like, a couple years ago where I'm like, wow, that's awful. And that's just how writing is. Everything where you're like, I've gotten so much better, and you'll just get better and better. So just keep writing. Don't worry about it being perfect. It never will be. I could tweak copy all day long. My own copy, all the copy, the sales pages I write, I just could tweak them over and over again.
Yeah.
But you just have to say, this is good enough. And I'll tweak it when I have more information on my audience. So just keep writing.
Yeah, Yeah, no, that's great advice. That's awesome. I sometimes get nervous when, you know, how Facebook sends you those like reminders of like, this is you like 5 years ago or 6 years ago. I pull up some of those things and I'm like, oh my gosh. And sometimes I'll go and delete, but
Yeah,
one less
totally.
stuff we need to put out to the world. Anyways, well, thank you so much again for being on today. I hope everyone has a great day. And yeah, take care and I'll talk to you again soon. All
Bye.
right, bye.